Are you okay? Honestly, ad rates have plummeted. I've been neglecting this channel. I only do this for money. Like, I honestly could care less about you guys. Should I just like put this on camera for views? I told her to quit her job. She doesn't work anymore. And if there's ever anything she wants, I will find a way to make enough money to buy it.
You can't do that. You'll get shot, Jimmy.
I'm white.
Oh yeah.
MrBeast!
Whoa, that was insane!
We're gonna call homeless shelters, get a list of things they need.
What? Is that why my washer and dryer is sitting in the front yard?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And so when it aired, when the video came out, my friends were like, what happened?
MrBeast is teaching us gambling?
It's like, everyone shut the f up. Here's what you're gonna do, and you're gonna do it right now. You're all gonna buy a bunch of crypto.
So now I'm pretty sus of MrBeast.
No, I'm not okay.
Saying that his team is holding on to contestants' underwear.
He's wearing a mask. Why would you wear a mask? Why would you conceal your face? It's like, what are you concealing?
If anyone's never watched, you need to. It's awesome. Everything they do is for a great cause. MrBeast. Want my free shirt.
Ponzi schemes are great up until they just go bust.
Huh? Did you scam us? What?
Please do not send any hate or honestly comments of any kind to anyone mentioned in this video on behalf of me or yourself. The purpose of this video is to give my commentary and opinion on matters of public concern. Thank you.
In the quiet town of Wichita, Kansas, on May 7, 1998, a child was born who would one day captivate the world with his boundless generosity and unyielding drive. But the story of James Stephen Jimmy Donaldson, known to millions only as MrBeast, is not just one of internet fame and philanthropy. It is a story rooted in pain, resilience, and in the shadows of a tumultuous past. Jimmy was the second son of two Army officers born into a life of discipline and duty. His mother, Susan Marie King Donaldson, now perisher, broke barriers as the first female prison warden at the only military prison in Europe at the time. It also happened to be run at the time also by the United States Department of Defense. But behind the facade of military prestige and honor lay a household steeped in turmoil. And I ain't talking about drill sergeant dad barking orders because the sheets got a wrinkle in it. No, this was actually much darker than that. Jimmy has said that his childhood memories are non-existent up until the age of about 10 years old. But the fragments of his early years were recounted by his mother in her 2019 autobiography, and she paints a picture of a life far from ordinary. I was moody, uninterested, and overwhelmed. I was a mother, but I wasn't present. And that's something I'll never forgive myself for. As his parents served their country, young Jimmy and his siblings were often left in the care of others. And when his parents were present in the home, the atmosphere was anything but peaceful. In Susan's book, she unveils the harrowing reality of their family life. It was marked by fear, abuse, and control. Charles Richard Donaldson Sr., an Army officer by day, ruled his household with an iron fist by night. While Susan managed the military prison, she herself became a prisoner to her husband's tyranny. For 21 years, Susan says she endured a marriage that was anything but loving. The abuse, both emotional and physical, left scars that would take a lifetime to heal, not only on Susan, but the three young children as well. Through it all, young Jimmy watched, absorbing the pain and chaos all around him. Amidst that domestic strife, tragedy struck again when Jimmy's little sister was diagnosed with life-threatening leukemia. The weight of their father's abuse and the fear of losing a child created an unbearable tension in the Donaldson household. Sue would write in her book, quote, "I longed to keep my sons from doing to anyone else what was being done to me. I had to protect them, even if it meant leaving the man I once loved." So Sue and Charles, they would eventually divorce for good. But young Jimmy's problems were far from over. What followed after the divorce were years of bickering and fighting between the two parents and the rehashing of the past misdeeds, and often they would make this even worse by triangulating Jimmy and his siblings between them in these fights. And this is all stuff Sue admitted to in her book, okay? I'm just telling y'all what she said, okay? Available on Amazon Kindle. So for me, it's really important to keep in mind that at this time, during this time period, I mean, these are kids, they're getting put in between their parents in the middle of a divorce, they're fighting, and the kids are kids, and this is the first female prison warden in the whole entire history of forever at the one military. I mean, imagine a 12-year-old up against that.
So, by profession, did I tell you I'm a retired lieutenant colonel?
No, I did not know that.
21 years on active duty in the Army.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's
I
impressive
especially-
too. Okay, so you're like a military kingpin.
I guess so. Yeah. I ended up being the first female prison warden for the DoD prison over in Heidelberg, Germany in 2001.
The Eddy House is named after Manton Eddy, the first American general to move in here after the end of the Second World War. It was here that leading NATO generals came together to reach decisions that were to make history.
Dann waren die Entscheidungsräume mit den Sicherheitsräumen, die Hochsicherheitsbereiche, aus denen auch das Weltgeschehen.
So, yeah, first prison warden over there. Jimmy likes to think like that's so cool. My mom used to be a prison warden.
I think that's very cool. What was it like?
You know, by that time in my career, I was very good at the good cop, bad cop.
I think that's telling. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, also in this time, right after the divorce, like 7 years after the divorce, Sue apparently, quote, lost her ability to function. So she was like literally not functioning and they still had the kids in the house. On top of that, apparently, according to Jimmy, Sue lost everything in the 2008 financial crisis and they were always constantly moving around because of Sue's military assignments. Now, eventually they did pretty much settle in one place in North Carolina. All of these factors left Jimmy and his siblings in a constant state of insecurity, uncertainty, and confusion, never knowing where the next fiasco was going to come from or when it would appear, but just knowing that it would. Little Jimmy Donaldson, the boy who would later become MrBeast, he may not dwell on the memories of his early life, but they're forever etched in the shadows of his past. A past that shaped him. A past he would spend the rest of his life trying to overcome. From the ashes of a broken childhood, a phoenix would rise, and the world would come to know it simply as MrBeast. A man driven not by fame, but by a deep-seated need to bring light where there was once darkness and hope where there was once despair. It seems that during the darkest moments of young Jimmy's life, he saw a flicker of hope in his desperate situation, perhaps even a way out. It all began with a simple love for making videos. Jimmy's early YouTube content was a patchwork of ideas, mostly about gaming, but also just random topics that piqued his curiosity. The first venture I could find was a channel called We Talk Gaming, where Jimmy and two of his friends from high school would dive into gaming topics. And I mean, they were very young. Look at the little uniforms they're wearing.
You introduce the channel, then introduce each of us, then you'll be...
Oh, okay.
And then after that, I would be like, so Jimmy, what do you enjoy uploading? And then,
Are you gonna make it that corny? Like, so Jimmy.
So Jimmy. I could... so Jimmy. No, it's like...
He's gonna be our funny one.
So guys, expect a wide range of video games on this channel, and we're all pretty stupid and probably won't upload consistently, but just subscribe.
No, we're uploading consistently.
Yeah.
You have to have positive outlook on it.
Oh, okay.
We'll upload consistently for at least the first week.
But on February 20th, 2012, Jimmy established the channel that would eventually become the MrBeast we would recognize today.
But anyways, this video is about my thumbnails. So we're just going to take a look at, my last 10 thumbnails. We'll just critique them, give you guys my opinion on them, and let me know what you think down below. So we'll start off with this one.
Jimmy would experience viral success very early in his YouTube career, often stating in interviews that his first ever YouTube video received 20,000 views. And apparently that experience of going viral, that first video, I don't know if it was actually the first video, I have no way to confirm that, but that's what he says, and it may be true. But he says, and he credits that with kind of hooking him on the YouTube viral buzz feeling or whatever. So by 2015, Jimmy had fully caught the YouTube bug, and he would make various videos on his channel, often featuring his childhood friend, now known as Ava Chris Tyson, and for whatever reason, they seemed a bit preoccupied with Chris being Jimmy's slave, but I digress.
Well, me and my slave don't like this area anymore. The is kind of messing it up, so we're gonna go find a new place to live. He was my slave, but there's no part 3. Don't ask for a part 3. Never doing a part 3.
In September of that year, 2015, he uploaded this video to YouTube. In it, Jimmy talks about how these knives in a video game cost more, the video game version, cost more money than the actual in real life version of the exact same knife. He's like, wait a second, this is just pixels on a screen. How could it possibly be? How could it possibly be?
And to be honest, I don't know how I thought of this idea. I'm not ripping off another YouTuber. I did all the research on my own. I didn't really steal this idea from anyone, but I decided, why don't we compare the cost of these knives in real life to the cost of these knives in the video game? Now, I personally have never really played Counter-Strike, but I do understand the basic principles. Knives that are like factory new are worth a lot more than knives that aren't hard and like, you know, harden, fade. Like the skins on the knife make them worth more. There are different factors that make each knife worth more than the other, and just things like that. The first knife we're going to be talking about is the Karambit, which is currently selling for $35.
And the funny thing is, now watching people watch this video so many years later, they're like, these knives are worth $27,000 now. But apparently at the time, just a few $100s was a very big deal. Anyway, so I found this video, and I just want to take note here, just make a little note right here because it's going to come back later. He seems a little perturbed by this concept, right?
Facts, and people get mad at me. I just think it's ridiculous how you can compare the cost of the IRL knife to the video game knife and just see how big of a difference it is per pixels on a screen.
Okay, thank you. All right. So that same year, Jimmy recorded this video addressed to his future self in 5 years. And it's honestly, it's kind of cute. It's kind of endearing, you know, not knowing everything I know today. It's cute.
What's up, guys? It's currently October 4th, 2015. Yes, I'm probably like a freaking grown man when you see this.
He even says in it, he don't even know if he's going to be alive in 5 years.
Dude, what if I'm dead? Dude, if I'm... Ooh, that'd be weird. That'd be so weird. Rip. That'd be really weird.
But he also says, if I don't have 1 million subscribers by the time you see this video, my entire life has been a failure.
Dude, if I don't have 1 million subscribers when you see this video, my entire life has been a failure. I hope I have 1 million subs.
At that time, Jimmy's channel only had about 8,000 subscribers and didn't even have 2 million total views on his whole entire channel at that time. But he was fully committed to the 1 million subscribers within 5 years, or else his life is a failure. And if you think that little young Jimmy seemed a little bit delulu, then don't worry, because his mom would agree with you. When Jimmy confessed his YouTube as a profession plans to his mom, she was basically like, no child of mine. You are not going to be living in my house, not working, not going to college, doing whatever shenanigan you're doing on YouTube. No, you are not. And he was, no, Mom, please, I'm a YouTuber, there's money in it. And no, Jimmy had a choice. Enroll at the community college after you graduate from the high school. You can get a quote, real job, meaning not on YouTube, which at the time, I mean, today things are a little different, but even still, I mean, 50-50. And then, or you can move out of my house, And y'all know Sue is the prison warden. Like, I don't think it's really up for negotiation. I think it had to happen. But he couldn't really move out because he was only making a couple $100s a month on YouTube. He was definitely not making enough money to move out. He also hated school and said repeatedly in interviews years later, he sucked at school, he hated it. It made him depressed even just to go to the community college. So he did enroll at the community college eventually, but we'll get to that in a second. Whenever Sue made this ultimatum to him, he had not graduated yet. So he still had a little bit of time to go viral, essentially, to, make enough money where he didn't have to be forced to go to the college or whatever. So with only a few short months to go before his high school graduation, Jimmy was up against the clock to make his YouTube dreams come true. He dedicated his whole entire life and existence and personality and every second of his life to one goal, and that was going viral. He needed to learn the algorithm and what it liked and what it didn't like inside and out, and that's what he dedicated his time to doing. He was making YouTube videos instead of studying for his history tests, okay? Jimmy would later describe this time in his life as truly distressing, crying on camera, recollecting the horrors of the mere thought of having to attend a community college or get a quote real job.
I didn't want to go to college. For me, I hate school. I hate it. I just want to make YouTube videos. That's all I ever want to do. That's all I ever wanted to do. My mom was just like, either you go to college or you move out. So I go to college, it's community college. It's not that expensive, whatever. And I just couldn't stand it, man. It made me just so depressed. So after 2 weeks, literally just 2 weeks, I just stopped going. But I didn't have enough money to move out. I wasn't making anything. So I just didn't tell my mom. I would act like I was going to college, and then I would just sit in my car in the college campus and just work on videos or edit or just work on a script or something. And then I'd come home and I'd be like, hey Mom, college is great. And then I'd keep working. And I remember sitting in on the stairs in front of one of the college classrooms. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I've just been grinding every hour of the day. And I just made 20 grand a month. I was like, I'm ready to tell Mom that I'm failing every class and move out tomorrow.
Anyway, like I said, Jimmy did take the lesser of two evils and he enrolled at the community college, but that was pretty much the extent of his academic affairs. He did not do anything. He did not go to class. He sat in his car in the parking lot and made YouTube videos and studied how to go viral. Okay, so at that time, whenever he was really in the YouTube hustle of it all, as high school was ending, he was about to go into fake like he was going to community college. He was still in high school, and that is whenever he really started to get deeper and deeper into the gaming and the online gaming world, because he was really putting all his efforts into this going viral, and a lot of his content had to do with gaming, so he was learning the field. And remember whenever Jimmy was kind of perturbed about that whole finding out that the knives cost more online than they do at the store or whatever? Well, apparently that seems to have healed, because that perturbation would turn to adoration when Jimmy got deeper into the world of this specific game called Counter-Strike and some of the things that you can purchase to play with in the game, okay? And look, listen, forgive me for the broad strokes, gamers. I know that this is not gonna be, y'all gonna be in the comments trying to tell me what's right, what's wrong. I just gotta get through this part for the purpose of the video. Could you bear with me? Thank you very much. So Jimmy starts buying up these knives. It's not called skins, but for the purpose of the video, he starts buying up these pictures of knives online, okay, that you can use in the game, and collecting them in his little collection wallet online. Here it is right here.
Man, it feels a little weird to make a video again. It's been about a week, I would say, since my last video. And I don't know, it just feels weird sitting behind the mic again and uploading. Pretty much the reason I haven't been uploading is I've been playing Minecraft on my free time, and then I've also been doing a lot of IRL things, so just haven't really gotten around to it. But I'm motivated, I'm in the mood, and I feel like making videos, so hopefully I'll start uploading daily again.
But Jimmy also took his love and obsession with these fictional weapons off screen. In May 2016, the same summer, Jimmy was walking the aisle in the Greenville Christian Academy graduation, and the same month Jimmy would turn 18, he was doing a knife giveaway on his channel. Probably trying to get views and stuff. He's trying to go viral, trying to get people on the channel. Come get the knife. But he wasn't giving away a fake one. He wasn't giving away one from his little chest up here on the screen. No. He was giving a real one away. A real one away. Okay, a real one. The winner was a 12 or 13, it's disputed online, 12 or 13-year-old boy named Lava GS, and Jimmy communicated directly with this child directly to coordinate the delivery of the goods. But Jimmy's Delulu would eventually come true Lulu whenever he did go really viral the first time. His hard work paid off. The huge gamble that he took, it actually paid off, it worked. He would experience his first truly viral moment in January 2017 when he counted. Was it to 100,000? My God. He counted to 100,000, just sat there and counted 1, 2, 3, and went up to 100,000. This stunt took more than 48 hours to actually perform, but due to the editing software, he had to cut it down, and the video is like, I don't know, like 10, 20 hours long. I don't know how long it is. He would later describe this event as, quote, torturing himself, but it did get millions of views, so mission accomplished.
Get 10. My first really big one was when I counted to 100,000, because a lot of people like face
I remember seeing those ones.
Yes.
What year was this? And the time codes were just like so long that it was like, did people just click just to see if you actually did it? And
exactly. Well, and the thing was, that one blew up because like everyone was just reacting to it and be like, what a fucking idiot. Get a life, which was great. It was cool. Like, this is when FaZe Clan was huge and they all like reacted to it in their vlogs and tons of people were talking about it. It was probably like 5 years ago.
It seems like the stunt was dually motivated, and that one reason he did it was to make money by going viral, but he specifically wanted to make money while he was watching a cartoon. Was that Naruto? He wanted to watch it and he was like, I just couldn't bring myself to watch all these seasons.
Have either of you watched Naruto?
No, yes. No, I'm not.
I love Naruto.
Oh, that's an anime.
But the reason I did that is I was watching a show called Naruto, and it's like 700 episodes, but I couldn't justify the time to watch it. So I really wanted to watch this show, but I was like, it's too much time. So I just put it on pause. And then I started thinking, you know, how can I make money while I watch this? And so I just sat there for an hour and I was like, what can I do to make money while I watch this anime for fucking 60 hours? And then I practiced counting. And I realized I could count while still enjoying the show. And so the entire time I counted to 100,000.
You know who got him into anime?
Who started it? Who got Jimmy introduced to anime and was like, sat Jimmy down, made Jimmy watch anime?
I'm guessing it was Chris.
It was.
Just from the way he said it.
Yeah, he didn't at first.
No, I didn't.
Ava Chris Tyson. He did do this type of stunt a few times. And he said PewDiePie 10,000 times or something one time. What is the attraction? So just 4 months after the counting to 100,000 video, Jimmy would finally hit his 1 million subscriber goal with no intention to slow down. And this would have been 3 years early. Remember Hide Me in 5 years? That was 2015. 2017, we fast forwarded and now here we are, 1 million. So who knows what's gonna happen. But Jimmy was not intending on stopping anytime soon, because by the end of the next 1 year long period, he wanted to have 10 million. He wanted to go from 1 million to 10 million subscribers within a year. Here's a screenshot I just want y'all to take note of from that same year, 2017, and all of the names that Jimmy was going by on this online account. We're gonna get back to that later. Just take note, because we're right here in the timeline. Okay. Anyway, that year in June, Jimmy got his first ever on the record brand deal, and Jimmy, Sue, and Ava Chris at the time, now Ava Chris, can be seen recounting this in this short. And this brand had offered him originally $5,000, and then he's like, no, I want $10,000. And then Sue's like being interviewed years later, like, and I said, Jimmy, I can't believe it's so crazy, Jimmy. And that, you know, I mean, y'all can watch it. They act themselves better out. They play those characters better than me, clearly.
Jimmy calls me and he's like over the moon, ecstatic. Mom, you're never gonna believe what just happened. Somebody just offered me $5,000 to put an ad on my channel. $5,000, that's really, really great. Yeah, I turned it down.
No, I want $10,000. And he's like, 5,000. I'm like, no, I want 10,000. I just want to walk out my front door and go give it to a homeless person.
9, 10.
And I'm shocked. Like, that's your great idea for your first time you're getting a brand deal?
I need a cameraman for something I'm gonna do. And he told me to meet him at Walmart. He showed me the envelope that had 10 grand in it, and he was, I'm gonna give that homeless guy 10 grand.
Hey,
his heart was changed. And he talked about it over and over and over again about how fulfilling and how awesome it was that he was able to help somebody out and give him the money.
Anyway, so the whole stunt was to take the $10,000, walk out his front door and go give it to a quote random homeless man, and that video did go viral as well. And this is where Jimmy, it's, you know, credited that Jimmy developed his penchant and his love for stunt philanthropy because, you know, everyone loved it and it was so nice and whatever. I don't know. Girl, I have theories, but that's what they say online. So Jimmy eventually does move out on his own. He's not evicted. He has, you know, made enough money. He can afford his own apartment, so he's not going to be on the streets. And better yet, that same year, 2017, he gives his mom a home renovation and she quits her day job, retires, and then starts working for Jimmy, whatever that means. Also, that's the same year that Jimmy did give her $100,000, and he would describe that as the best day of his life. The best day of Jimmy's life, 2017.
So you saw me carrying this, and so I wanted to give you money to put towards your house or something. Don't you owe a lot of money on your house? Yes, so I wanted to give you a check to help you pay for it.
No.
Yeah. Then like
No.
Quid paid for a little bit of it. You know how much they normally pay, so obviously not all of it, but
No, Jimmy.
yeah.
Y'all are gonna make me cry.
Yeah, and it's his employee now. He just handed her over $100,000 to his mother, whose previous mother, who's now his employee, who was the landlord that was going to evict him.
Okay, come on. This can't be real.
It is.
Yeah, it's a piece of paper, but there's no money to back it.
Actually, can you cash a check like this? Like, will they let you?
For 100,000?
What? It's the time. It's in the time.
Anyway, Jimmy, of course, sticks to his one goal, which is to continue to try to make viral content. And he would often, according to allegations online, exploit psychological tricks meant to affect vulnerable people and minors in particular, to trick them and manipulate them, get them to click, get them to do what you want them to do. This is just one example of the type of content he was making around that time in 2018 called destroying friend's house and buying him new one or something. I don't know, we'll put it up here. Anyway, they're tearing stuff up. Keep note of this guy though right here. The first videos that we would recognize as MrBeast videos today, those all featured the same sort of cast and crew, the crew. They used to call this the boys, but they stopped doing that ever since Ava Chris came out. So I'm gonna call them the crew. So in the crew, Chandler, a devout Christian who grew up playing baseball with Jimmy.
Today's reading is Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths.
And there's a weird clip of them on the, what's it called? Whatever the podcast is that they do, talking about his job interview consisted of him saying, whatever you guys want me to do, I'll do it. And then the manager said, you're hired or something.
And then Chandler, this is a fun story. Chandler was actually our janitor. We brought him
Wait,
on.
what?
Yeah, we brought
No
him
way.
on to just clean and stuff like that.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, seriously. And he was very shy, like super shy. He was so terrified to even talk to me. And then one video, he just like got in it at a little part, and
You're
people
like, wow, you're funny.
Yeah, people really liked him. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so then he was
What
in
a
one
story,
video,
man.
and then he was in another video, and Chandler all of a sudden just starts popping in more and more videos, and people are like, "We like Chandler. We like Chandler." And I'm
And
like,
there you go.
Yeah.
So then also, of course, Ava Chris Tyson, who we have mentioned several times. Ava Chris was in those very early videos, right? But now we're kind of getting a crew together. We got 1 million subscribers. We're trying to get 10 million, right? This is the next step. Ava Chris also was born in North Carolina, like Jimmy. They kind of grew up together.
He's my slave, so I don't have to do all the hard work.
Ava Chris did have a job. whenever they first started making the MrBeast videos all together. But Ava Chris eventually would leave that job to work with Jimmy on his channel full time. Ava Chris was also in the Boy Scouts, which apparently helped on the survival challenges. And also, as mentioned previously, Ava Chris is the one that got Jimmy into anime, which he's a huge fan of anime apparently. And then finally, eventually the crew would hire an editor from upstate New York named Carl Jacobs, who would become a regular fixture on the channel. So in these early days, they were absolutely obsessed. I'm talking literally, religiously obsessed. They would get on calls every single day at 7 a.m. to talk about how to mastermind YouTube like it was the MLM. They meticulously studied thumbnails, camera angles, cuts per minute, and more. They made a pact not to drink, not do substances, not have girlfriends, and devoted themselves, quote, this is a quote, religiously, to just going viral. They wanted to be a virus upon humanity. It was their religion. Amen, Jesus. I mean, MrBeast.
Most of my growth came actually after I graduated high school. Basically what I did was I somehow found these other like 4 lunatics. 3 of us were college dropouts, 1 was a high school dropout, and 1, I don't know, he just like quit his job. We all were super small YouTubers, and we basically talked every day for 1,000 days in a row and did nothing but just like hyper study like what makes a good video, what makes a good thumbnail, what's good pacing, like how to go viral. And we just call it like daily masterminds. We would just get on Skype every morning, and like some days like I'd get on Skype at 7 a.m. and I'd be in the call until like 10 p.m. and then I'd go to bed and I'd wake up and I'd do it again. And you know, we'd do things like just take 1,000 thumbnails and see if like there's a correlation to the brightness of the thumbnail to how many views it got, or like, you know, like videos that get over 10 million views is like how often do they cut the camera angles, or like things like that.
Really? So you microanalyzed
everything.
Yeah, here's a quote right here. Look, quote, "We had no friends outside the group." That sounds like a cult, but it's what, I mean, listen, it's what it takes. Oh, they all had purity rings. They didn't. Just the Jonas Brothers. I don't know if these ones, girl. I mean, they definitely all have the one pant leg thing going on. I don't know what that's about. And this time, Jimmy realized he needed help, and he did hire a manager. You might recognize this guy from his representation of other huge YouTubers. I mean, this guy's the Scooter Braun of YouTube, if you ask me. He's represented Jake, maybe Logan, also Paul, MrBeast. He's represented Ninja. I mean, there were some other people. I think Dream, some other ones that, girl, I don't know who those people are, but they big. They big. They the ones that get, you know, wins awards at YouTube.creator, whatever con or whatever, whoever. I mean, that's the ones.
Or get invited to NATO.
The special chosens. They're at NATO with Joe Biden last week. You gotta be special to be in a room with Joe Biden these days. Beep. So Reed also has described those early kind of hustle startup days in interviews as well. And he said he was sleeping on the couch. This huge YouTube, the Scooter Braun of YouTube, the Dr. Luke of YouTube. The Dr. Luke Scooter Braun combo. Scooter Braun might be the Scooter Braun of YouTube. He represented Tana Mojo, I heard.
Yeah,
anyway.
He got all of his people from YouTube.
Justin, oh my God, he did.
Gorianna.
Another housemate at the time, just for historical purposes, was Jimmy's cousin James Warren, who's now the CEO of MrBeast, according to that article the Time magazine one. So Jimmy seemed unstoppable. He was doing brand deals and collaborations and partnerships with literally the biggest names on YouTube. He eventually started a Philanthropy channel, which contributes 100% of its revenue to a warehouse that operates mobile food donations throughout Eastern North Carolina. He partnered with a company during the you-know-what to make these burgers, basically ghost kitchens, and he made hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue off of that, or at least the enterprise did. Then Jimmy also started this candy bar brand, Feastables, which has been described as perhaps 50% a candy company and 50% a children's lottery. So with all that success and attention, of course there would be some hiccups along the way, and of course there would be some naysayers, some critics, some hashtag haters. People started to rise up little by little, voicing their concerns about MrBeast as an employer, a role model, and even just as a person. Here's a non-exhaustive list, starting pretty much back to the beginnings of the channel. Here, we have Ava Chris saying Asians are small, and Ava Chris saying everybody said Asians are small.
Because it's wet and yeah.
And everybody thought Asians were small.
Then in 2018, there were some allegations of homophobia levied against Jimmy himself.
I don't know what to do. Okay, fat yes. Shut the up, you stupid fat. Ooh, fat. You're a if you're homosexual. Ooh, aren't you impressed? JK, I'm not a
In May 2018, an article by The Atlantic exposed some old tweets from MrBeast Jimmy Donaldson, where he had used homophobic slurs and made jokes at the expense of the LGBTQ+ community. When reached by phone and given the opportunity to put his comments in context, Jimmy showed no regret or remorse. He was not sorry. This is a quote. This is a quote from Jimmy. Quote, "I'm not offensive toward anyone. I'm not offensive in the slightest, but anything I do. I just gotta ignore it. I don't think anyone cares about this stuff." I care about it, Jimmy. And seems like you care about it too, because y'all guess what happened next? He wanted him to run a positive article, just not mention the use of the homophobic slurs. Because he's not offensive to anyone, he said. This is in 2018, okay? It's before the Philanthropy channel started, okay? When The Atlantic then turned around and informed Jimmy that that was not a possibility, that wasn't going to happen, Atlantic reaches back out and they're like, no, we're not gonna just leave that out. What are you talking about? He responds with this list of pre-answered questions and he's like, wouldn't it just be a better article if y'all just ran these instead? How old was he in 2018? 20 years old. Because he was born in 1998. Oh my God. So, I mean, was that him? I don't know. Maybe it was. Finally, he said the following quote, "I'm just a dumb kid that makes YouTube videos and I don't like doing interviews." Oh, okay. Before cutting the call short and hanging up. I can't say on camera what I think had just happened with that one, but minutes after that call ended, Jimmy did take to Twitter and delete all of his tweets that included the FA slur. Minutes after hanging up on the Atlantic, telling him, "I'm just a dumb kid. I don't like interviews." Despite the backlash, he defended himself by claiming that his intent wasn't offensive, and that led to a debate about the influence of his platform on younger audiences and if the content was even suitable for children in the first place. And then people started saying, well, he never technically targeted the audience toward children, so there was a whole debate about that. Then there was the fake money giveaway scandal of 2019, where people noticed that some of the money he was giving away was fake prop money. That was a whole scandal that ensued.
These people are not reading your description because you have a disclaimer in your description as well explaining all of this,
exactly.
right?
And that was there the second the video went live. It literally said transparency. We handed people prop money, but right before we left, we actually cashed it in for a real check. So it was there the entire time. So.
All right.
2021 brought a lot of scandals on the House of Beast. First, there was that whole curing blindness ordeal of 2021 where people were kind of divided on that one too. It wasn't like a full cancellation, but that was where you start getting rumblings that people are upset about this philanthropy, you know. I'll put in what they were saying.
The cure blindness are still ongoing, and those efforts are going to be hampered greatly by the misconception that blindness is cured. All right, so what happened in his video? Cataracts are pretty common. It's an issue that happens on the front of your eye. There has been cataract surgery for years. They're pioneering newer and cheaper ways to do it with the pig eye cell transplant thing that everybody's been talking about. And what it does is it takes the cloud off of your lens. They suck it off. They replace the lens. It's amazing. It's amazing the transformation it can do for your vision, but it's not a revolutionary new surgery that cures blindness. My blindness and the blindness of tens of millions of people out there happens in the back of the eye, either the macula or the retina. For me, and again, many other people out there, the cells in the back of our eyes are dying. They dead. And as amazing as MrBeast is, he can't bring anything back from the dead. So the title, 1,000 Blind People See for the First Time, is pretty misleading. I mean, it's more like 1,000 blind people who develop cataracts can see better for the first time in a long while. There's the one guy who said he's been out of work for 4 months, and it's because he just recently developed cataracts.
Yes, it does grow his brand. He benefits from this. Even if it's not financially, he obviously is going to take a huge net loss on this because of the price of these surgeries. His brand does grow from it. But I ask, is that a bad thing? For so long, people have called for positive role models to be the people that are successful and popular. And now you have someone like MrBeast, who is the biggest YouTuber, and almost all of his content is focused on improving other people's lives. Well, there's plenty to be mad about with the core problem here, which is these people should have already had access to this treatment without MrBeast needing to make a video on it.
And I'm so tired of hearing this term poverty tourism tossed around when talking about MrBeast. It just shows such a gross misunderstanding of what that even means. To try and slap that label on what MrBeast does is so off the mark.
The worms in your brain must be suffering from parasites. Like, there is so much wrong in your noodle.
Then that same year, there were some allegations that he had created a hostile working environment for employees. The New York Times had covered MrBeast and called him the 22-year-old that's set to become the next Elon Musk. They interviewed an assortment of Jimmy's former employees, which revealed that MrBeast had behaved very differently when the camera wasn't on. It's giving Ellen DeGeneres in every way. He called the employees something so bad we can't even say it, and they couldn't even print it.
In 2021, Taylor Lorenz wrote a big long feature where she just talked about loads of things to do with MrBeast, but she also talked to a lot of people who had worked for MrBeast.
Emulating his favorite tech billionaire
in that he's also treating his employees really badly, allegedly, according to a New York Times report. While he was sometimes generous, they said, his demeanor changed when the cameras weren't around. They described a difficult work environment. Matt Turner, 20, an editor for Mr. Donaldson from February 2018 to September 2019, said Mr. Donaldson had berated him almost every day. Mr. Donaldson often called him by the phrase used to insult people with mental disabilities. Mr. Turner said, leaving him in tears. What a lovely guy this is. Mr. Turner, who did not grow up with Mr. Donaldson, said that while his boss regularly featured his hometown friends in videos, he had struggled to get acknowledgement. I was not credited for anything I did. I'd ask for credit, he'd credit someone else.
Then Jimmy would be accused of running, was it the first of many? He would be accused of running a crypto scam on his fans in an allegedly illegal pump and dump scheme. Not only as somebody that was influencing and promoting this crypto, but he was listed as an owner. I mean, an investor, but that's what it means. You own part of the company. This messed up MrBeast accused of allegedly being invested in alleged crypto pump and dump scam known as Refinable. Currency was set to launch at 33 cents. However, it allegedly launched at $4, so it's supposed to come out at 33 cents. Whenever you could buy one of these Refinable tokens, it's supposed to be 33 cents. When it came out, people log into the little appy apps, and it's $4. Okay, so that was a lie. And then come to find out just a few minutes later, $9. Within moments, it looks like it says instantly, it crashes to $2. So it's supposed to be 33 cents. It comes out for $4 instead of 33 cents. Then it's $9. People are like, what in the hell is going on? Then it crashed down to $2. And some people, why'd they put their live streaming? I need receipt. Give me an invoice. It's like market manipulation allegation. So it kind of makes it look like, some people might have been speculating, I'll say, that was manufactured and orchestrated, again, as a psychological manipulation tactic to make people think, oh my God, it's already up to $4. Everyone hurry up and buy it. Oh God, it's up to $9. Hurry up, hurry up. And then once it got up to $9, it was worth all this money. All of a sudden, it's now worth $2.
Logan Paul is suing me for CryptoZoo, only a year after he thanked me for it.
The next year, 2022, Jimmy and the gang got some more backlash, this time for burning down a house. And I don't know why they got backlash, because they've been destroying stuff the whole time, but some people were saying it's a bridge too far to actually burn it down. He usually just tears up the washing machine or the refrigerator and puts a new one, and this is burning the house down.
The house burned down all night until there was literally nothing left, including all the mannequins.
I guess this video was supposed to be entertaining. I don't think that he's ever trying to entertain. I think he's only ever trying to get as much engagement and clicks. And he says it. It's like a lot of people get accused of that. He says it.
Don't let no one call you out for being a money whore.
So yeah, I mean, it got clicks, it got engagement. Yeah, and then some people starting to say, you know, my kid watches this. This is promoting reckless behaviors. Then last year, I mean, it starts hitting the fan for real. There's this Beast finger on the phone mobile game controversy where apparently you have to put your finger on the phone screen for however so much long. The longest person puts it on there. You know, here, I'll just let this one explain it.
MrBeast tweeted out that he had created an app with a simple premise. Hold your finger on the phone longer than anyone else and you win $25,000. Little did he know, this simple app would destroy his reputation twice.
Then during this podcast with Trisha Paytas, Rosanna Pansino, a popular YouTube baker, revealed that she was mistreated on the set of a MrBeast hide and seek competition game.
Oh, they edit me to look like I freeze on set and I can't act. And the same thing kind of I felt like maybe happened on MrBeast. Like that was weird too. So when he reached out for me to be on Creator Games, I was on 1, 2, and 3. The first 2 were digital because it was during COVID times. Oh, wow. Those 2 games, and I had a blast. I had so much fun. And then when I got invited to do the 3rd one, it was at the SoFi Stadium, so it was the first one in person. And we did like a major hide and seek and challenge game, and it was over 24 hours. We were up for, I think I was up over 30 hours straight. Wow. I didn't sleep.
Yeah, I think the challenge was around 24, but you know, you wake up before you're there, so
yeah,
we were all up for longer.
Oh my God, straight? Yeah, and I'm just confused what happened there. Again, I didn't get involved in any of the drama. I was nice to everyone, and they edited me out.
It felt like a boys' club there. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. And I understand that people don't want to hear that, especially if you're a MrBeast fan and you love him. You know, you don't want to hear negative things about somebody that you really admire or look up to. The truth sometimes is not pleasant.
The thing that I didn't understand, and I'm still confused today, and it hurt my feelings, is Like, when MrBeast talks about these creator games and challenges, he said, you know, it's all in good fun. Like, audience, don't take it too serious. All of the money that's won is donated. You know, it's given away. So it's, we can just have some fun with it. And I was like, yeah, that's really cool. And so when it aired, when the video came out, my friends were like, what happened?
Really? Because you weren't in it.
People are saying he didn't edit you out because you're a girl. He edited you out because you're boring.
They had me get eliminated like somewhere in the middle, and I was really proud of myself because I'm not mean and competitive, you know? I just go out there and do my best, and I actually beat other creators who are a lot of male creators who are super competitive. They're very talented, and they edited me out somewhere in the middle when really I was top 3.
Wait,
and
what?
then in the edit, they have like, okay, top 3 is Larry and Logan Paul and Zach King. They weren't top 3. I beat Logan Paul.
What?
Like, if I were a tiny Rosanna Pansino, where would I hide? Boom!
No, there's comments he made to me on the elevator with Matt Pat that are just rude. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You know, in the state of California, you have to disclose when you're recording on a phone call because he's in another state. I don't know what the laws are. And I don't want to
different.
Keeps pressuring me to get on the phone with him, and it's because he can say whatever he wants on the phone to me, lie to me, and then deny everything he said. It's a smart business tactic. He's a smart guy. He's a businessman.
Cynical though.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I learned the hard way. I've been in that situation.
And she made some other allegations as well.
Most of you have seen that there's been a lot of news coming out about MrBeast, Jimmy Donaldson, some of his employees, and his, in my opinion, terrible business practices, some of which I've seen honestly may be illegal.
Then in July last year, Jimmy ends up in a $100 million lawsuit litigation with the business that he had partnered with on the Beast Burger. Talking about the burgers are inedible and they're disgusting and so I'm trying to get out of the deal, talking about I made a young deal, I made a stupid young beast deal and all of this stuff. This lawsuit's where we end up finding out that Jimmy's mother is the one signing all his contracts. We got a whole section on that coming up, but just hold on. As a part of that, they end up suing him back for breach of contract and stuff. They did settle this out of court, but it did happen last year. Then at the end of last year, December 2023, CoffeeZilla revealed that MrBeast and other creators were working with a merch company called Misfits that CoffeeZilla alleged was a massive fraud scheme. Ryan Piacente, the man who was in charge of the company Misfits, was further accused of being a predator and accused of abusing employees in that way, if you know what I mean, SA.
When Ryan asked a fan, can we get married? When she told him she was 16, he said, come back in 2 years, which would be when she was 18. But 1 year later, Ryan reached back out, saying this, quote, I retweeted your selfie. Do I get nudes? She replies, that's illegal. He says, quote, don't worry, I ain't no snitch.
2023 also brought some of Jimmy's past promises to the forefront when people started saying that he hadn't kept his word. In particular, it had to do with this time capsule to the moon pictures scandal. Back in 2021, Jimmy had tweeted, for $10, I'll put whatever picture you want on the moon.
For $10, you could send an image to the moon. Jimmy would then do a live stream for this moon capsule project. This live stream was to convince people to go on the website and to purchase a spot on the hard drive that would go to the moon for $10. There was even an exclusive moon capsule shirt. In fact, I even bought a space on the hard drive that would presumably go to the moon.
And then it's like shopmrbeast.com moon. Many people believed at the time that Jimmy was working with NASA.
No joke, for $10, I'll put whatever picture you want on the moon. Basically, NASA is putting a rover on the moon, and I managed to convince them to let me buy storage on their moon rover. Thank you, NASA. And instead of doing something dumb like putting a jar of my farts on the moon, I thought it'd be cool to make the universe's first digital time capsule, which is why you're here. Scroll down, hit buy now, and put whatever picture you want on the moon. And bam, you just put something on the moon.
Every single one of you that puts something on the moon will get a certificate of authenticity authenticity. So for decades to come, you can prove to people that you literally put something on the moon.
You can put a picture of your mom on the moon. You can put a picture of your dog on the moon. Even your mom and Elon Musk riding your dog on the moon. Assuming it's legal, you can put anything you want on the moon.
People thought he was working with NASA. He was not working with NASA, apparently.
When I'm editing, I realized it said later this year, NASA is putting a rover on the moon. And if we look over here, there is no rover that landed on the moon from 2019 to 2022 by the United States. And there isn't even a planned rover by the US to land on the moon until 2024. So now I'm pretty sus of MrBeast. Huh? Did you scam us? What?
So 2 years later, 2023, the pictures had still not blasted off into space, and the fans were starting to speculate on Reddit what was going on with their pictures. By 2024, articles were coming out to explain the issues with MrBeast's first ever time capsule, and the people on Reddit have finally come to the conclusion that they must have been scammed by MrBeast. Obviously, Astrobiotic used Jimmy's fame and subscriber base to fundraise for this Go to the Moon project, but the mission never happened. So where's all that money? There's a lot of people. He can sell 50,000 merch items in a stream, okay?
Just to keep things fun and interesting, as if putting a photo on the moon isn't interesting enough. Someone who puts a photo on the moon, or if you buy the bundle, whatever, and the next 30 minutes, we'll just fly you down to be in a video.
3 years later, the spaceship finally launched, carrying beautiful pictures of deceased loved ones to the moon, where they would be immortalized. It fucking exploded.
A formal investigation was launched earlier into one of Astrobiotic's failed missions.
The task order for Astrobiotic's payload delivery was valued at $108 million. The NASA instruments on board were valued at an additional $9 million. The Peregrine spacecraft was not only transporting the DNA of famous former US presidents like John F. Kennedy, but also the remains of notable figures from Star Trek, including Gene Roddenberry, the creator, along with his son and wife.
With an update sent out through Twitter on Wednesday morning, Pittsburgh-based Astrobiotics has confirmed that the Peregrine mission that they were spearheading for NASA will not make it to the moon.
But I learned in this article that Astrobiotic is a third-party contractor that does make and manufacture things including spacecraft for NASA. So I honestly don't even really blame people for assuming that this mission could have been associated in some way with NASA. There's also a history of NASA partnering with YouTubers, including Jimmy's buddy Mark Rober, like I said, and Mark Rober's friend, Lance Bass. Also that year, Ava Chris would come out as transgender. Let's just say that announcement left the internet entirely divided.
Oh, the way I would not let my dog lick me until he brushed his teeth. Oh.
Take a moment on that. Like, how does that feel, publicly saying in front of cameras that you are a woman?
For the longest time, to even say it to some of the closest friends, it would make me like my hands shake.
Probably the most disgusting, really truly in my opinion, I mean you just take your pick, but the most disgusting, alarming, shocking, horrifying allegations of any type to date would come August 2023. So the way I found out about it is Turkey Tom, but I'm sure a lot of people were talking about it before that. Turkey Tom, he would post this video. Oh my God. I really, y'all, it's a landmine here. I gotta be very careful about what I say, okay? Use your imaginations on some of this. I've worked so hard on this video. If it gets demonetized, I'm gonna be upset. They're gonna have to look it up themselves. Don't look this up unless it's very that. Okay, all right. This video comes out August 2023 called The Giggly Goon Clown Files. And y'all, I literally, even if I was allowed to say it, I probably couldn't even bring myself to. But the TLDR is that some screenshots leaked last year focusing on a Twitter user named Giggly Goon Clown. And this account was involved in extremely disturbing and explicit content, including fetish content about literally illegal and unlawful acts, racial hatred, and self-degradation. Giggly was known for creating and sharing highly explicit art and engaging in degenerate behaviors online. And these behaviors primarily involved children, a familiar theme that we've now already come across. The Giggly Goon had a huge following, influencing others to participate in a variety of disturbing actions. This clown built up a community that was deeply involved in sharing explicit content and luring others into a life of depravity, including those who had not yet had birthday celebrations yet having of 18 years, if you know what I mean. Giggly's real identity gets revealed, and this leads to community tensions and account takeovers and further exposures of illegal activities, more allegations, including grooming of children and the distribution of explicit content. It's Specifically, you should know that a primary goal of this individual organization was to make children become addicted to a certain type of content. It was something that they had as a primary goal, to influence children to develop an addiction. That is a primary goal of this giggly goon tribe. All roads leads to clowns and Lord Cornberry, amen Jesus. Anyway, here's a picture of Ava with the giggly goon clown. Look at that. Y'all, there's no way to describe to you the level of depravity and disgusting. I mean, it's like stuff, I can't even label the category of stuff it was. And it was the literal definition of explicit. It was laid out, periods and punctuation marks. It was very clear it was criminal activities going on in this group. I'm not known to listen till proven guilty. All right. But innocent till proven guilty. But Ava Chris looks very thick as thieves with this one right here. All right. And that one right there in the middle is the one that was doing all that. So I could end the video there. Isn't that nasty? Isn't that enough? I can imagine if Lord Cornberry got the internet, because you know what it was whenever MrBeast partnered with Elon Musk for the Starlink and put it out there in the South African village, and now the people's addicted to pornography. Isn't that interesting how that is exactly what happened?
Elon Musk's Starlink has made internet accessible to some of the most remote areas. From the Sahara Desert to tiny Pacific islands, the technology has now penetrated deep into the Amazon jungle, which is home to several indigenous tribes.
As it quickly revealed its darker side. People are glued to their screens, addicted to social media, scrolling endlessly, playing games, and worse, watching Tribal youth are now sharing all kinds of explicit videos, and tribal seniors are afraid of the actions of the youth. Because kissing and public displays of affection are not customs of the tribe, young adults are also becoming less and less physically active and are drifting away from their culture and traditions.
Anyway, so yeah, that was back in August 2023. So people were already starting to question this group, at least the people around the MrBeast crew. I mean, Ava Chris is the first person that ever was making these videos with Jimmy that still was around at that point. Like, it's the founding member. But a lot of people were like, no, this is transphobia. This is transphobia. Don't criticize Ava. We don't even know if Ava Chris knew and all of this stuff. If you ask ChatGPT today, they will still say that the allegations of anybody around and surrounding the giggly goon clown is false. Anyway, moving into 2024, more criticism against MrBeast and his crew mounted whenever he did this 4th of July stunt with Kai Cenat, where they built a fake set that looked exactly like the room that he usually streams in. I mean, there were some minor differences. They blew it up, and it did look dangerous and destructive. I don't know why they were doing that. I think it was stupid. Anyway, that same year, this year, it would also be discovered that a former MrBeast employee, Charles Robert Jefferson, he was a manager for the company early on. He was a known registered you-know-what offender. Yep. And back in 2010, he had pled guilty, admitting under penalty of perjury to heinous acts against an 11-year-old child. He did not serve any jail time, but he did admit to the crime. Jake the Viking, the convicted criminal's brother-in-law, who also worked for MrBeast, came out online to defend him. But he did say that Jimmy and his mom, Sue, both knew about the conviction and the registry, and they decided to hire Charles Robert Jefferson anyway. That's the whole Jimmy knew situation, which we'll get more into, but fans and critics alike would begin to question how someone with such a background could have been employed with MrBeast, by MrBeast, why there wasn't a screening mechanism, why would they hire him? Then there's the Beast Games controversy, where they're saying yet again more allegations of unsafe working conditions. This is all mounting up this year. Contestants are passing out. They don't have their sanitary hygiene products. They got their drawers locked up in the lockers, I mean, all kind of things. We'll put some clips, but that's all happening at the same time.
Saying that he is holding on, or his team is holding on to contestants' underwear.
And the most severe allegations related to the contestants' health and safety, because they're apparently not giving them their prescriptions and their insulins and their things they need to, I don't know, like go on and survive and stuff.
But like not having clean underwear is like really shitty. And apparently, according to this person, contestants were instructed to supply the production staff with a Ziploc bag containing 5 days worth of undergarments. And similarly with the meds, they were like, you're gonna get this when you need it, right? But several contestants said they had waited hours or even days to receive clean underwear. So it's like you're at a MrBeast event, right? You're not being fed properly. You're not getting your meds on time, and on top of that, you're wearing like shitty skid mark underwear, you know? Like that is truly poop maxing.
But just to let y'all know, the Beast and Amazon crew have denied these accusations. These weren't the only complaints of the sort. This person on Reddit alleged that MrBeast left a huge mess on a beach in North Carolina campsite after he used it for a video for free without paying any money. And then someone actually reached out to that camp and said, is this true? Look, there's a rumor on Reddit. And the camp didn't really confirm it or deny it. They were kind of like, oh, we're going to keep it quiet, basically. Oh, we'll give him grace.
Part one, I had seen this Reddit post titled MrBeast leaving trash behind and debris at film site in Ayden, North Carolina. Apparently he left a large boat in a pond as well as debris around the film site in the bottom of the pond weeks and weeks after the agreed time frame. This actually rendered it unsafe for campers and almost delayed the camp's opening date multiple times due to not being able to get in contact with MrBeast to get the stuff cleaned up out of the area. So I actually know that this is from a MrBeast video called Protect the Yacht, Keep It, where at the end of that video he actually says,
and if you're wondering, yes, we did ensure the lake was completely cleaned up after this video. For the love of God, subscribe so we can pass T-Series.
And then, yeah, there's this other guy who went back to an island that they had done a shoot on, and it was a mess over there too. So I don't know, it kind of does look like
everything there. It just...
And Jimmy also faced criticism over his new candy bar company, Feastables. First of all, it's literally candy bars with crappy sugar ingredients, but he tried to pass it off as some type of health food at first. Then he named one of the ones with the nuts in it, D's Nuts, which is a genitals joke. Let's call it what it is. And he's selling candy to children, calling it D's Nuts. Do you want to buy Jimmy's D's Nuts and your 10-year-old boy? Like, this is what they named the candy bar. Okay, obviously huge problem for two reasons. First reason, the one I just mentioned. Second of all, there's already a company called D's Nuts, and D sued for copyright infringement. So he changed the name on the D's Nuts ones, but I mean, yeah, I think that's for the best. And then another major backlash he faced related to the Feastables fiasco was that he had a literal slot machine game, which we mentioned earlier on the candy bar website, that children could spin the wheel and hope to win a prize.
So I am absolutely pigging out on Feastables, and I'm trying to do this. MrBeast is teaching us gambling? Minus points because there's no cool music. Anyway, let's gamble.
Now come to find out, you couldn't actually win a prize from spinning that wheel. You were just getting them primed. You're just getting them primed to play, to know how the slot machine works. Because people were getting 3 Lamborghinis in a row and not winning a Lamborghini. It was like, oh no, you have to actually win in a different way or something. So this is the game where, what's his name, Dogpack Dawson?
YouTuber diabetes lottery ticket.
He claims, this is hearsay, but he claims he was talking to a manager when he worked there and he said, I think this candy bar company is like 70% candy and 30% child gambling. And according to this former employee, the manager says to him at MrBeastStudios.com, it's the other way around. It's 70% a child lottery, 30% candy, 10% copyright infringement. I don't know.
But I swear to God, I said to somebody at the company, I feel like Feastables is 70% a chocolate company and 30% a lottery targeting children. And this higher up person at MrBeast said it was probably closer to the other way around and was laughing about it. Like 70% a lottery, 30% a chocolate company.
People were mad about the gambling. They were. Independent and apart from all this other stuff going on, they were mad about it. They're like, what is this? There's gambling addiction experts online making commentary about how the slot machine and the colors.
Mark Rober has talked about this common deceptive casino tactic before.
You recall from the carnival scam video, the most lucrative games for the carnival owner are those where people overestimate their chances of winning. That is exactly what happens in this game, thinking you were so close to getting a jackpot, when in reality, you weren't close at all. In gambling psychology, this is known as the near miss effect, and people will spend much more money to try and win because they think they can just do it on the next.
Yeah, also the game didn't work. On top of all of that, Jimmy was also getting a little bit called out for stealing employees from some of his tried and true YouTube friends.
Carl used to work for me. Now he works for my brother, MrBeast.
We got Laser Beam over here saying MrBeast stole the one good employee he has ever hired in his whole life.
I talked to Jimmy about it and just the amount of people he has doing everything. I'm like, fuck.
He is the king.
I did have a good employee and he stole him.
Same, he stole Hayden. He stole Hayden.
To be fair, he rings you up and he goes, so how's that guy doing? Is he doing good work? What's he doing?
Oh my God.
You know, I'm really looking for someone. Like, I can't deny the opportunity of working for Jimmy, bro. It's like,
who did he steal?
Just one of the guys that helps run his gaming channel.
I'm gonna put Hayden on blast for a second here.
MrBeast can't even let his friend have the one person they ever hired And he even says in that same interview, Jimmy's the reason he ever hired anybody in the first place, trying to outsource stuff. Then he just poached him off of him. Then Logan Paul comes in and says,
MrBeast also stole my #1 editor, my guy.
Jimmy stole my favorite editor, the best editor on YouTube. I'm not gonna hold it against him. He don't know about Ethan.
He's the guy as well.
The guy. He's
arguably
the guy.
like the best editor on YouTube.
Is it like that crazy that took this long? What is it?
That's a good question. Yeah, can you answer that?
I'm gonna give a direct message to my editor Hayden. If you could send me a message and tell me what's taking so long. I don't know. I wish I.
Yeah.
We have one
So
editor,
it's just
not
on him?
5. Yeah, yeah.
But it seems like the stress was starting to actually really get to Jimmy. We see this in a few places. One here on the Time magazine article, they say that, quote, recently people around Jimmy have sought to protect him from caving under the workload. He now has a personal chef and a trainer. Time magazine also reported during that time that Jimmy didn't actually have any access or control over his own bank accounts. His mom, Susan, was in charge of all of that. So I have to ask, who hired the trainer and the personal, all that stuff, you know what I mean? I just feel like Susan's a little enmeshed by this point. Anyway, at the end of the year, last year, Jimmy's mental health was notably deteriorated, as can be also seen in the Buried Alive challenge. Despite this being a repeat challenge that he had already performed an iteration of before on his channel, in the 2023 version, Jimmy can be seen openly weeping several times on camera. And he doesn't even know why. He's like, oh, I'm crying. At one point on day 5, he admits that he's depressed while trying to keep an entertaining smile for the audience. He says he's just trying to not look depressed. Earlier this year, he partnered with what appeared to be a regular, charity that kind of distributes funds to different things, but it actually is literally the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which made people start asking, why? What? Is he a Mormon? Because last I checked, he went to Greenville Christian Academy, the evangelical Christian school. His mom's writing all up and down in her 2019 autobiographical book about how much she loves the Lord and Jesus and all this. And people are like, well, how could he be a Mormon if he's a that? And it's like, I don't know if y'all know this or not. The Mormons name their church the Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints. It's not an impossibility that somebody could be, saying Jesus about something and still be talking about not evangelical version of the religion. Then Jimmy had this I follow the doctrines of Jesus Christ banner on top of his YouTube page at some point. It's down now, and Logan Paul, or one of Paul's, gave him a hard time about it.
No, I'm not.
What about that Jesus?
And he was like, "Bring your Jesus Christ."
You just can't make eye contact, dude, with any girls.
Ever.
Just don't do it. Don't
keep a Bible in between us. Don't get near me.
A Bible. Are you saving yourself for marriage?
Are you?
No,
Nice.
absolutely.
I love this.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
What about
I'm not religious. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you saving yourself for marriage?
I'm not religious.
At all?
No, I'm not.
What about that Jesus?
No.
And it's like, okay, Satan, I don't know. He's notably taken down the Jesus Christ thing. And he's done interviews. Jimmy has done interviews. And he said, I believe in a God. It's not like I'm an atheist. But he said, I just don't know which one.
He's saying no.
Yeah,
are you atheist?
You just asked the same question different ways. The answer's the same.
Atheist or agnostic?
Agnostic. The universe is complex, and
Yes.
it's hard to believe someone didn't do it. But I don't know. There's a lot. It's
You're open-minded.
Huh?
So you believe in a creator or some sort of being.
But it's just
deity,
hard
perhaps.
to tell. There's a lot out there.
He's agnostic, so he doesn't have proof to push him in either direction or another.
So, but that was one of the controversies, that the biggest YouTuber on the planet ever in the history is partnering with any religious organization, despite having international following and stuff like that. And then in particular this one, because they've been in the news themselves for, give you one guess. Now, I'm not saying it's every Mormon. I never would say that. But this is top level people at the charity, partnering with people. They're the ones that were covering up for their So people are asking, why? Why is he partnering with this religion? And I'm not going to say that I found the answer. I'm not going to say we found it, but we did find something that has a lot of interesting connections having to do with Harker's Island. MrBeast did a video there. There's this water tower in the back, which led Ethan to be able to find exactly where that thing is. And then it's on this island where they speak this certain language. There's been Mormons there since that. I'm gonna just let him explain it to you.
All right, so the other day I was definitely not minding my own business on the internet. And I wanted to know who Chris Tyson was, who are his family members, who is his parents, where did he come from, what made him this way, what is the fascination. So anyways, I found this website, a Wikipedia draft somebody made, which it looks like somebody doesn't want this to get made. It has a bunch of information here, but down here, I mean, this is weird. Wait. Yeah, anyways, down here it shows his family members. And so I saw Amy Tyson first. So I said, let me search Amy Tyson. So then I go on Google and I found this real estate listing website. So it looks like she is in real estate. She's a real estate agent. This is one of the addresses that was on one of the crawler websites, 9 Harkers Island, North Carolina. Here we have this video. So it was like the next day I was looking at MrBeast videos, and I think this one's pretty recent. In this $1 video, he says he's buying a broken down shed for $1, which I don't think that's a house. And then there in the background you can see that's the water tower. And then I noticed this when I was Googling Harper's Island. You can see that there is a water tower and it looks very familiar. So I typed in the address and it brought me all the way down here to this building which Amy Tyson owned and renovated this deck in 2015. And lo and behold, right next door, well, 2 houses down, is this Church of Latter-day Saints temple. You can see right there. Here we go. We'll go around the corner. Let's see. There's the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And we keep going and we see that wonderful water tower. And so let's go back to our notes here. And it's just uncanny. I think that might be the same water tower. So then I find out, and this AI thing is wrong, it's actually 1889. But so in 1889, about 360 of Harkers Island residents were Mormons, or Church of Jesus of Latter-day Saints. So they were 6th or 7th generation Mormons. And then on the Mormon fandom page, it looks like the Greenville, North Carolina stake, and all of this is close by to where we got, you know, Delaware is from this area. We got Ava Chris Tyson. They're all from this area. So it just is interesting to me. Kept looking. I mean, there's a lot more Tysons in the area. It seems like it's a big family, very extended. They're all real estate agents. So do with that what you will.
So despite all those allegations, those troubles in paradise, the red flags, the controversies that we did discuss prior to right now, nothing ever really stuck. He was like the, what do you call it, the rubber man or whatever, this stuff didn't stick. Every time somebody would try to expose MrBeast and crew for something, everyone would kind of just blow it off, say they were being transphobic, or that MrBeast just does so much good that even if he's doing a little shenanigan here and there, he's far outweighing any bad that he could possibly be doing. Like, for example, in 2023 alone, people were so unbothered by this controversy that he gained 99 million subscribers within that 1 year. I think one day that year he gained 2 million on a day. But in the summer of 2024, the full weight of nearly a decade of online shenanigans would finally prove enough to shake the foundations of the Beast empire in a 1-2 punch that would go down in YouTube commentary history. So this guy Prism42, he made a series of videos making very alarming allegations against mainly Ava Chris Tyson, and then there was another person, a former employee, Dawson, Dogpack. He also made a big video. He's now made another one. He's probably gonna make another one by the time this one comes out. But it's Prism and it's Dawson.
I'm a former MrBeast employee, and today I am alleging that the company rigged videos and did illegal lotteries and sold fake signatures. I would consider that fraud.
Okay, and they're making these videos. These videos focused on a variety of topics and made allegations of all kinds, some of which are the type that we have already discussed, having to do with children. And at this point, there's probably more videos on this topic than literally anything else on earth. So I'll lay out some of the major themes and the stuff people were the most mad about. First of all, we have the Shadman allegations. You know, this is no particular order, but Prism discusses this at length in his June 15th video entitled Chris Tyson's Interaction with PDF File Network. Shadman is an illustrator who draws depraved images of children, mostly girls, doing things unspeakable. There's a picture of him right there. He's got court tomorrow, by the way, but something different. Defenders of these drawings claim that they are supposed to be cartoon depictions of 1,000-year-old vampires, but clearly it is just a way for weirdos like this freak to do exactly what it appears to our very eyes that they are doing.
It didn't like most of the internet at the time with Shadman. Yes, for some reason, yes.
So his excuse for this disgusting behavior is that apparently most of the internet, they were f***ing with this nasty loser who was making these disgusting drawings.
Many of his drawings also depict real children who are not in fact 1,000 years old, who are alive and not 1,000, they're like 7 or 11. This even resulted in him getting sued one time by somebody, maybe 2 people, threatened with a lawsuit.
Give me your
I guess if you could, like 2-minute take on this whole Chris situation that's happening, what's happening, how you feel about it, the whole thing, you know, the wombo combo.
Right, yeah. So I actually went on Steve's stream the other day to talk about this. My take has changed a little bit, even since then, to expand a bit.
Okay.
Because, you know, I knew based on, you guys saw that video I made years ago, that a lot of people back in the day were fans of Shadman. There were many of them, a lot of the animator guys, like the guys who do Smiling Friends. But I've become aware of the fact that so many people back in the day were like on board with Shadman. Like nobody fucking called him out, to the point where if you did, you were like an SJW libtard cuck. Now I'm assuming most of those people didn't know that he was drawing a real life child back in the day, which I think is the worst thing he did. You know, the lolicon stuff is bad enough in my opinion, but you know, if you want to come on the side of, oh, it's not a real child, whatever, I don't really want to have that argument right now. But then he did draw a real child in the real world getting by Hugh Jackman, which I think is super up. I think that's super up. And you know, as free speech as I am, I don't really feel bad for him getting his website taken down at that point in time for that.
But that's not the only legal trouble he's gotten into either. On October 26th, 2021, he was arrested for assault and attempted unaliving against a person with a weapon. And guess what the weapon was? It was a knife. They like knives in this group. If convicted, he hasn't been convicted yet, hasn't been decided yet, but if he does get convicted, he faces up to 4 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. At the time I'm writing this script, he has court tomorrow, and something's gonna happen tomorrow. I don't know if it's gonna be the end of it or not, but by the time this video comes out, it will certainly have already passed that court date. Notably, Shadman, whose real name is Prejean, straight from Louisiana, nasty, get him. Get him. Because you know what they do to people that does this type of, well, no, he's not accused of that. Let me not say that. His lawyer tried to argue, Prejean's lawyer tried to argue that Prejean was not mentally competent to stand trial. And they did give him a mental competency hearing and all that, it looks like. But these documents are mysteriously very difficult to access. I mean, I've been able to access Britney Spears documents, Cher's son's court document. I can't get Prejean's documents at the LAcourt.com. I don't know why. But anyway, back to this disgusting art that he makes. So in Prism's video, he revealed that Ava Chris not only follows and supports this Shad-Eye person, Shadman, but also in the past had purchased a custom drawing and posted it online, bragging for the world to see. And I'm not going to put that drawing up, but it's of a young looking person. It could be someone over the age of 18. I really don't know. It's like, that should be saying enough. It's a cartoon. It's got out. It's got a little tattoo that apparently means you got fetish that's racially driven. I mean, it's nasty. It's nasty. And then Ava Chris couldn't have just been a perverted freak in Ava Chris' own time. Had to put it all out on the internet, tagging everybody like it was a marketing advert. It was disgusting. Disgusting in my opinion.
A regular piece of artwork. It's some character from a Disney movie. And of course, here's Chris Tyson. He's saying a random MrBeast meme on Shad. Love it. And MrBeast is surprisingly in the comments section. Didn't expect him to be there. He says, this is all we've ever wanted. We can quit now. Also, relatedly, Ava Chris was, this type of art is called a certain word, starts with an L, I ain't gonna say. But Ava Chris was talking about that type of art, that type of content, really, quote, cranks my That's what they, I don't know why I said that. Shadman used to have the tag lolly on his website. That's what he would put for all of his pedophile artworks, because it was supposed to be a depiction of a child. And of course, he had changed it when he depicted Daphne Keynes, who was 12 years old. Lo and behold, on this tweet, it shows that Chris Tyson had purchased an artwork that was tagged as part of his art collection. Not only that, he goes as far to even say, this is coming from the guy who owns a Shad-based drawing and has it as the centerpiece in his living room. And by the way, this is after he had said that it was a significant part of his career. So, not only should you have known who this guy was by then, but you also purchased a poster which he had tagged on his website as part of his pedophile art collection. And it gets worse. How could it get worse? Well, in the video on the MrBeast channel, tipping pizza delivery guys $10,000, you can see there's a brief moment where it's on the wall in plain sight, just as Chris Tyson stated, and Jimmy looks right up at the wall, right in that direction. And during the same frame, MrBeast is in the same frame as pedophile artwork. What the f***? Why was this ever a thing?
Another thing that came out in these big explosive 1-2 punch on YouTube videos was allegations deriving from the Discord. Okay, so the progeny of videos included allegations of inappropriate behaviors between Ava Chris and various unpaid employees, many of whom were minors. This was all happening in the MrBeast Discord. I'll put up some of the most scathing allegations here, but frankly, I'm tired of talking about all these depraved details. Suffice it to say that Ava Chris was alleged to have had inappropriate conversations with minors about inappropriate topics, including addiction to corn in the cartoon form. It's called hentai, apparently, I don't know. Also, it was alleged that Ava Chris sent inappropriate materials in the sort of that type of content to minors and discussed it with them in true goon clown fashion. It was alleged that Ava Chris suggested that an NSFW server on the Discord remain accessible not only to the minor moderators, but also to thousands of minor fans, despite that being a violation of Discord's rules. And it was alleged that Ava Chris sent inappropriate Snapchat messages to those under the age of having had 18 birthdays. Oh, by the way, the Snapchat account still alive and well, still linked on Ava Chris Instagram. Not that I would ever encourage anyone to ever go look at it, but it's there if you want to see it. Also, it resurfaced that Ava Chris, earlier on in the YouTube career, whenever she was going by Chris, had explicitly shared images of content of this type of Jeanette McCurdy and hid behind the excuse of, oh, I wouldn't encourage y'all to look at it, but here it is for you if you want it.
Recently, everybody's been hearing about the Jeanette McCurdy leak of her photos, and I know a lot of people were wondering about it, so I decided to do this little video to my 20 subscribers that may care, may not care, and if you guys are watching, thank you for watching it. But first off, what the story is, she sent pictures to her boyfriend, her now ex-boyfriend, and he leaked them out, and she is a very popular Nickelodeon star on the show iCarly and Sam and Cat, and so first off, what you'll probably be seeing is the pulling of the show. It'll probably be taken off the air. Second off, you'll probably see the photos get taken down at some point tonight, maybe tomorrow, because Nickelodeon has that kind of power. But the link's in the description if you want to see them. I mean, I'm not endorsing people to go look at somebody else's private business, but I know that people might want to see them, so it's there if you want it. First off, what I have to say though is that when you look on the news, you see people, they've leaked nudes from their girlfriend at a high school, and that girl kills herself. It's a tragic story. Everybody calls the guy a bully, but yeah, when people like Perez Hilton do it, it's considered entertainment. So you kind of have to think about where the right and wrong is, really. And I think it's all wrong, personally. I don't think somebody should leak photos that were sent in trust. But the link's in the description if you want to see them.
That came back up in these videos as well. It's not looking good for Ava Chris. I can understand why they were upset, can't you? So when all these allegations first surfaced, the alleged victim of all of this, Lava GS, remember the one who won that knife all the way back in 2010? He came out and defended Ava Chris, saying nothing inappropriate ever happened and it was insulting to real victims, and everybody please go leave comments telling people that are criticizing Ava Chris that it's lies, I'm not a victim. But Lava would have to walk this back. Lava would just days later walk this right on back and then say, oh, I didn't remember. That was so inappropriate. Why did Lava walk this back? Well, because those Discord server chat logs were leaked. Now, it's been hit or miss whether you can access them, okay? But enough has leaked and is available in the public domain to be able to tell that it was absolutely inappropriate what was being said in there, and Lava couldn't defend that, so Lava backed off of it. Oh, and the person who leaked the Discord logs, it was a person by the name of Nate or Nathan, who was also a moderator in the Discord and was also a minor at the time that Ava Chris was saying all this stuff. Yeah, not cute. It didn't just end on the Discord. I went on to the Twitter. Some public tweets, this is not a private Discord, it's public tweets resurfaced between this same minor, Lava, and Ava Chris, wherein they discuss Ava Chris's cartoon corn hentai addiction. Okay, they discussed it twice. One time on Valentine's Day in 2018 on a post about Chris's wife, Ava Chris Tyson's wife, Valentine's Day. There is a teenager asking about a cartoon corn addiction. That is the level of relationship. It's the wife. You posting your wife, your husband, your significant other, and there's a teenager on there saying, does she know about your hentai addiction? And then about a year later, when Lava was still a minor, tweeting yet again about this same supposed addiction. It's given goon clown. I mean, I don't know. Goonery, buffoonery.
And of course, Here is the Steam account of Chris Tyson. It is estrogen dealer. And they are both friends with each other, Lava GS and Chris Tyson. And as you can see here, the games that they played, it matches up with the tweets that they made. And as you can see, Mangled Pickle is also on there. It matches up with the tweets that they made.
It was about this point in time when the scope of inquiry in this type of investigation of the public, this public investigation, the scope of inquiry, it widened to Jimmy, Stefan, MrBeast Donaldson over there. People wanted to know, did Jimmy know about all this stuff in the Discord? Did Jimmy know about Ava Chris Tyson doing this stuff with the minors and the Snapchats and the tweets and the hente and all of that? What part did Jimmy play in it? Well, they wouldn't wait long to find out because that former employee, already mentioned him, Jake the Viking, he explicitly answered the question in a 2-word tweet heard around the world. Quote, Jimmy knew. There you go. Jimmy knew. But later, Jake himself, he would get called into question for what he knew because his brother-in-law was admitted criminal, admittedly on the RSO registry, and was working for MrBeast too. So where's that same energy? People would call him out. According to Jake the Viking, Jimmy, MrBeast Donaldson, and his mama Sue, the real MrBeast as far as I'm concerned, they knew. It also surfaced that Jimmy was in that controversial Discord server, and he even sent an inappropriate message in there himself. I'm saying it today. I don't have a Discord now, never will. Never wanted one, never did, never will. Thank you. Finally, into the question of what did Jimmy know? What did Jimmy do inappropriate? There's also this tweet that was presented as evidence from Lava's Twitter showing Lava was 16 when he asked Jimmy live on stream, "How hard do you want it, Jimmy?" 68 million people had viewed that.
Yes, Jimmy, how hard do you want it? 68 million people have seen it.
Yeah. So moving on from those impropriety allegations, the 1-2 punch also addressed the giveaways in general, the contests, stuff like that. Allegations that the infamous MrBeast Games contests were fraudulent, which is an echo back from what Rosanna Pansino was already been saying. According to Dog Pack's video, Jimmy would often rig the contests so that pre-selected winners would win. When he couldn't do that, he would simply use misleading editing to fake what happened. He also alleged that the giveaways that Jimmy was doing on his live streams were literally illegal because it was alleged MrBeast would simply neglect to send out prizes. So people would actually win the prizes and then he just wouldn't send them. Dawson also showed evidence from a live stream that other people who aren't Jimmy were signing as Jimmy on this merch that they were advertising as signed merch. It's not him signing it. I don't know what Jimmy knew, didn't know, but he did know one thing for sure. And that was what had worked in the past for his PR was not gonna work this time. With all that evidence mounting, there was no conceivable way to argue that critics were simply being transphobic against Ava Chris, the goon clown.
Everyone was consistently making these jokes wildly inappropriate about his 5-year-old kid.
Ew.
And so, I know.
Like what?
And so, gonna go home and insert name.
What?
The craziest thing.
Who was saying that?
I know. Well, Ava, Jimmy, it was like...
And with the scope of public inquiry being brought into Jimmy himself, he had to do some immediate damage control. First, Jimmy tweets this canned response on Twitter saying that the allegations against Ava Chris were disgusting or whatever. He said he's disgusted or something. He said he didn't condone that type of behavior. Ava Chris was fired, and Jimmy said he hired a company to do an independent investigation into the issue. Users on Twitter saying, yes, you did know. You was in the Discord. Then Jimmy came out and apologized for past, quote, inappropriate language about Ava Chris's genitals in the Discord that was moderated in part by minor children working for free. And that fallout was just beginning. After the 1-2 punch of Prism 42 and Dog Pack's allegations, there were people close to the situation coming out the woodwork. They began to come forward with stories of their own. Jake Weddle, a former employee and contestant, comes out and says that he was lured back to the MrBeast studio after he got fired under the guise of participating in a phony competition. He claims he was tortured worse than a war criminal, and he blames Jimmy and Reed directly. Then you have Jess, who is a former romantic partner of Ava Chris, who claims she was groomed. Someone said they were Chris Tyson's ex, this girl right here, and allegedly Ava Chris used proximity to the MrBeast verse to lure this person into their trap. Those are the allegations, okay? This is all flying out in a week. Then you have another former prospective employee, someone who went through the job hiring process, and he claims he got scammed, Ty Orr. He accused MrBeast's entire production company of lying to him about a fake job for the sole purpose of getting him into the office to steal his ideas, which he alleges they did shamelessly without paying him a dime and without hiring him. He also alleged that they let him on and it could happen like that in the future or something. And this is where I enter the chat. I became aware of this whole situation because of the Ava Chris Tyson stuff. That big 1-2 punch, that's whenever I came aware of it. I started to conduct a little investigation of my own. I wanted to look into the Ava Chris allegations specifically and find out if Jimmy knew, who fired Ava Chris, and what else might be lurking in the underbelly of the MrBeast verse. I wanted to check into the possibility of charity fraud, money laundering.
And we're gonna cram one $100 bill inside of the can of Jumex to make it look like we're laundering money.
Any financial issues as well, lawsuits. And y'all, don't think I've ever been this deep in a rabbit hole. If you've been wondering where I've been, it's been in the MrBeast verse. I've been trapped in there. It's like the upside down in Stranger Things. Trapped. I was looking at Jimmy. Buying up all the houses in the neighborhood. I was trying to figure out why they always have so much cash laying around. Who's in charge of the company, the operations, who actually owns it, any skeletons in the closet. I'm looking into the astounding claim that Jimmy's thumbnails somehow cost $10,000 to make, which Jimmy and his stepdad have gone numb to money. I mean, how? How do you go numb to looking at $100,000? Like, I don't know. Okay, anyway, so I did uncover some things I never expected. Ooh. Things I haven't heard people talking about in the context of this scandal. And I think it deserves a little bit more personal attention. So that brings me to the deleted video files. I think I spent 2 whole days of my life just trying to find some of these videos. We're gonna put a few highlights in here.
I'm not autistic or 12. I don't know how to play this shit.
More Ava Chris slave play.
All right, guys. So I decided I don't want to go through this torture alone. So I actually hired a slave. Come outside, slave. Outside. He's gonna be my slave. He's gonna do what I say because I just don't want to do things on my own. All right, guys. So my slave is hollowing out us a house. This is a mountain right here. We're just gonna make a temporary home right here, and he's just doing some work real quick. So
we have MrBeast, James Donaldson threatening to shrink little kids' genitals.
I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, or your genitals will shrink. And that's it. Subscribe right now, or I'll put a pin in. Okay, or you'll subscribe and I'll put a shirt down. Subscribe. All right, boys, this is my goodbye. I will catch you later. And try not to suck too much penis.
We have gambling videos deleted and wiped. These ones right here, I got a picture of it. This video with a knife where Jimmy, quote, jokes about doing things I cannot repeat under the current circumstances, and I cannot probably even have him say. But just know that it is a CSGO karambit. And that brings me to the next topic, which has to do with knife trafficking. So is interstate weapons trafficking. I mean, I don't know. That same exact knife that Jimmy was doing that little bit with in his video. This brings me to a whole entire side plot within the gaming world that touches on gambling addictions, hacking, identity theft, money laundering, and fraud. Remember Lava, that one who won the knife giveaway all the way back in 2016?
And he DM'd MrBeast on Twitter and got sent a knife signed by MrBeast. He was like 12 or something.
Jimmy was just graduating high school. He was desperate to go viral. And then Lava ended up being a big part of the Discord server as a minor. And he developed a relationship with adult man at the time, transgender woman Ava Chris Tyson. And then he tried to defend Ava Chris and then had to walk it back. Lava, y'all remember him? Well, Lava's first point of contact with any of these people was that knife giveaway. And before I even get into what I found over here, I just want to point out that I'm very confused why nobody has discussed how problematic and horrible and shocking and horrific this giveaway was in and of itself. I'm very confused as to why nobody has mentioned this. I literally cannot imagine getting away with doing something like this myself in 2024. I wouldn't even want to, and it wouldn't cross my mind. But much less sending a knife over there to somebody at the age of less than 18 years old. I mean, the person was 12, 13 years old. Right there, that then should have been a red flag. Nobody made a video on that. He's done, it's over. He's given away weapons meant to hurt people, cause bodily harm. Nobody's mad about that. Nobody's pointing that out. Okay. We're not talking about cooking knives, y'all. This ain't a Rachel Ray Santoku. This isn't for chopping up onions. This is not a prop. This is not a toy. This is a violent weapon that has one purpose: to cause harm on a body. Why was that being given away at all? And especially to a 12/13-year-old. Then that 12/13-year-old kept being friends with all of them. They had meetups. It's very strange to me. Anyway, remember all that going on. The texts. The texts show communications between Jimmy himself and a 12, 13-year-old Lava. Okay, so I doubt Lava's parents were involved, which might explain a few things here and there, but I digress. I'm also curious where Lava lived at the time of this giveaway, because did Jimmy send that weapon meant for bodily harm against a human to a child across state lines? That's what I want to know. If Lava was in North Carolina, it appears Jimmy's giveaway could have possibly violated state law. According to this statute, it is a misdemeanor for a person to sell, offer for sale, give, or in any way transfer to any minor a Bowie knife, dirk, shuriken, or even just a leaded cane. So if he was giving this away to a little 13-year-old Lava in North Carolina, looked like it could have been grounds for a criminal conviction. But anyway, y'all remember that giveaway, right? Y'all remember it now? We're back on the same page. So that item that he actually gave away, it's called a CSGO karambit. That's the style of knife, and the CSGO is a holdover from that game. Remember the game? He had all the little knives and the wallets in CSGO. So he had a real one, a real life one. He sends it out to Lava. This is the same exact type of knife that Jimmy was playing with in that deleted video that we just talked about. And Jimmy literally calls it a CSGO karambit in the now deleted video, laughing like a rabid hyena with Ava Chris. And Jimmy's public obsession with these violent weapons didn't end there. Remember that video he made all the way back in 2015 about the price of virtual knives being higher than the real life ones? Well, guess what one of the knives was that he talked about all the way in that first video? CSGO karambit. And remember, this all happened within a critical era of Jimmy's young life. So he was still living a tumultuous home life run by prison warden Sue. He was obsessed with clicks, likes, clout, and views, and the clock was ticking for him to make it on YouTube before he would be kicked out on the streets. So Jimmy ends up spending a lot of time on these Gamba, which are gambling gaming sites. And a lot of it relates to these skins, these knives, like trading these knives in the marketplace. He even made some videos about gambling on these sites as late as 2017. He would act like he was too good to associate with them a few years later, tweeting about, I'll never play a CSGO game because something XYZ element OP, but his history tells a different story. There were even allegations that Jimmy took sponsorships from these gambling websites related to the CSGO marketplaces, but that's not my allegation. Some have postulated that this whole CSGO verse was even MrBeast's true online origin story, and he would rather hide it than have us remember. There's this whole other thing about these accounts where people get hacked and they're getting broken into, and there's horror stories online. People lose a lot of money. Some of these knives, some of these weapons are $20,000 in real US dollars, which we can get into whether or not people should be paying that. I mean, that's kind of what piqued our interest over here. I'm like, why? Seriously, why? $20,000? This is something else going on here. Then I just want to draw your attention back to the fact that Jimmy had this as a name on his account, that account where he was doing all that stuff on. He had this as a name. It was in 2017, and what does it say? I'm addicted to gambling. I'm addicted csgobig.com. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this gambling, because it kept coming up in my research. I kept seeing allegations that MrBeast is grooming children into the dark addiction of gambling by taking advantage of psychological phenomenon like the sunk cost and just missed fallacies. Like, you know, we talked about with the Feastables game. Remember that 10 years ago we talked about it? Keemstar, he stated MrBeast owed him money in Bitcoin, but he didn't pay it. So he accepted PewDiePie's play button. I don't know, I'll put it in here. Then MrBeast's old Steam account said, I'm addicted to gambling. Then we have Reed, Jimmy's own manager, saying the following. So essentially, he admitted that Jimmy tried to lure his child audience into different gambling app like CSGO skins, but the manager talked him out of it because it was a scam. But then Jake Paul and Rice Gum ended up doing it and getting a lot of backlash.
So it was about 2.5 years ago when I started working with Jimmy. What was becoming really popular were these like mystery loot crate internet sites. It's basically like CSGO skins, but you'd go on and it'd be like, here's the Supreme box, and you'd pay $50 for it. Jimmy wanted to work with that company when he heard about it because it was a lot of money and we wanted to give that money away in a video, and I had to talk him back on it. I was like, listen, we're not promoting gambling. I think people are going to see this negatively. So it was a long conversation that him and I had to have, which eventually we passed on the deal. And then Jake Paul and Rice Gum ended up doing that deal and got a lot of hate for it.
Then we have Jimmy himself. He talks about gambling. I mean, we found all kind of tweets. Here's a clip of him talking about it. Logan Paul's talking about MrBeast brought in $100,000 in $5 bills into every casino in Las Vegas, and nobody would let him use it because it was considered to be fraudulent. Then Ludwig, another longtime collaborator of MrBeast, also called him out for his gambling addiction. There's this video that says never make bets with MrBeast, talking about him gambling.
And since MrBeast was playing like all over, he'd play like, oh, I'm gonna go red this time, and then play a bunch of random numbers on the inside. He was playing 0. In one turn, he didn't play 0 and it hit, and he was really mad because he was going to do it in, and dealer was like, no, no, no. So then he went to like SapTap, and he's like, you have to put this $500 chip on 0 every single turn. And every time
he gave him a
he
job.
would do that. And if he was ever late, MrBeast would be like, do your job. And he'd be like,
hey, sell this tomato sauce in your little wagon on the streets.
Yeah.
Little boy.
I walk in and I'm like, I see there was 3 reds, and I'm like, shmee shmop. I put like all my money. I have like $500. I put it on black, and MrBeast's like, oh, Luddy, you seem like you know what you're doing. And I was like, yeah. And he puts like 50K there. And I'm like, oh,
We're
cool.
the same, bro. If
And-
I had his money, we'd be the same, but I'd be broke and he'd still be rich.
And it hits. And he's like, wow, you know what you're doing. I'm following you next. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is stressful.
MrBeast himself, Jimmy, talking about his little gambling fund being pure profit. I don't think he understands how that exactly works. The cracks are beginning to show.
Do you gamble?
Back in the day, it used to be. I actually won a couple $1 million gambling one time. Yeah, so I have this I call it my little gambling fund, and so anytime I gamble, I just pull money out of that account. So it's great because it's all pure profit.
And then there's this podcast clip about MrBeast where this man is being real cryptic. He's like, what I will say is I talked to him and he does have a gambling addiction, he told me. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm just putting that out there.
Majority of them have mental illness.
Yeah, and this is something, again, to go back to MrBeast, that I actually don't know if I'll just say this and we'll see if I should cut it or not. But I was talking with him and he was like, yeah, I can't really gamble because I'm kind of a gambling addict. And he talked about like, I don't know what to say the name of the game, highly addicting crypto gambling site that he would be wagering like.
And there's the fact that the Beast Game show itself is being hosted in Vegas, financed by Amazon MGM, which is a Vegas-based, the sun.
Is it coming through crack up there?
Is it still on my face? The Beast Games are being hosted in Las Vegas, financed by Amazon MGM, which is a Vegas-based casino. A lot of Vegas ties here. There's also clips all over the place of him talking about gambling, of him throwing down $50,000, $50,000, $100,000, whatever it was in the first round of a hand without even looking at his cards. He gets kicked out of this celebrity poker tournament. It's embarrassing. Which finally brings me to 2 important members of Jimmy's team. First is this guy, Darren Margolis. And this is the guy that runs Beast Philanthropy. He started doing that in 2020. He's in videos all over the place, like even more than Jimmy is on the Beast Philanthropy channel. And this guy's work history is a little bit confusing. He's been referred to as a real estate investor, but also somehow at the same time he was working at this random dog shelter for 21 years. And I don't know if he was just doing that as a volunteer or what. I'm really not sure what gives the man the qualifications to run one of the biggest charities probably in the world. But here we are. His LinkedIn used to say he was a life purpose coach for youth and a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. This is the guy who runs Beast Philanthropy. He's the CEO of the company. But this bio description has been deleted and updated. What do you mean you're a youth life coach partner? Is this the guy Sue brought in to help manage his life? Who is this guy? He's from South Africa. This is what it says now. Executive Director at Beast Philanthropy, please do not be offended if I do not respond to your message. I get thousands of outreaches a week. Because people do know the type of money and power he has access to, and I feel like it's just creating a demand. Like, oh, I get thousands of messages. Like, okay, guy, sure you do. I just found it interesting too, just a little interesting coincidental side note. He's from South Africa, and that happens to be exactly where MrBeast's girlfriend is from. So now moving on to Sue. Susan Marie King Donaldson Perisher the First. I found out that Jimmy does not control the company or its operations. It's in fact Sue that runs the company, much like a military operation. I also learned that Sue runs all the bank accounts for the company, and a step further, Jimmy has no access to his own bank accounts, even his main bank account. According to Jimmy, quote, I do not have access to any of my bank accounts. I have a CFO and everything, but my mom is the one who has access to the master bank account. The second in command at that time was Sue's new husband, Terry Perisher. So Jimmy's stepdad. I also learned that Jimmy doesn't negotiate his own contracts or even sign them. His mom does that under a broad power of attorney signed 4 years ago. She's the one that signed the Beast Burger deal that went sour. I learned that this power of attorney gives Sue the right to basically step into Jimmy's shoes at any time. She can demand his emails, private chat and text and DM exchanges. She can log into any of his YouTube channels, any of his social media accounts. She even has the authority to destroy or delete any of Jimmy's digital assets or devices, meaning entire channels, social media accounts, or computers. She has legal authority to destroy or delete. I also learned in the Beast Burger lawsuit that Jimmy doesn't own one shred of his own intellectual property. But they didn't fully disclose who did. It says the defendants, which are Jimmy himself as a person and Beast Investments, have always acknowledged, quote, that they have no ownership rights in any of Jimmy Donaldson's intellectual property. Jimmy Donaldson has no ownership rights in any of his intellectual property. So who does? Who does own Jimmy Donaldson's intellectual property if it's not Beast Investments and it's not Jimmy? And I learned that Jimmy's management company, the manager's company, Night Media, is a partial owner of Feastables, despite Jimmy saying he would never give up ownership of the company and stuff like that. Now, importantly, Jimmy has parted ways with Night Media, but as far as the United States Trademark and Copyright Office is concerned, Night Media still does own some of Jimmy and the MrBeast brand's intellectual property. And this all started to sound a little bit too familiar. Is MrBeast the next Britney Spears? If he doesn't fully own his brand, he doesn't own any of his intellectual property, any of his intellectual property. His mom is negotiating and signing contracts on his behalf. He doesn't control his brand or any of his intellectual property. He doesn't sign his own contracts. And his mom has 100% full legal authority and power to nuke any of Jimmy's online personas in the matter of a blink of an eye. Okay, Jamie Spears and Lou Taylor, I see you, girl. I see you. What is MrBeast Philanthropy gearing up for? With all this focus on acquiring food pantries and homeless shelters and Baphomet orphanages? Who or what even is MrBeast? Who is MrBeast? What is MrBeast? Because in the contracts, it don't look like it's James, Steph, and Jimmy, MrBeast Donaldson. It don't look like it's him. So who is it? What even is it? What's its point?
Like shocked, like have your hands over your face, like you're emotional as you can be. So like have your hand reaching for it and they're like,
I think we all know. Oh, one more thing. That Ava Chris Tyson apparently still active, alive and well on social media, trying to act like a fan account and peacefully uploading videos with this individual.
I have no clue what this is. I have no clue what this is.
Ava?
I asked my girlfriend to marry me.
Yes.
And reluctantly she said yes.
Yes, my roommate is now engaged.
Hey,
So
I put the gay in engaged.
So, yeah, we're no longer gay lovers. I thought I'd update you guys on my sexual life, if that's the thing.
I know, we're both very sad that we don't get to have butt sex anymore, but at least we still get to cook together and make wholesome memes.
Yeah, and I still get to use them to stretch out my videos.
That's not the only thing I should have. Hey!
Not anymore though, Dad.
Oh.
You're engaged.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If it's for me, Daddy, till my face falls off.
You know, my wife and child are out of town for the night. I really don't know what I'm gonna do.
DJ investigate, she gonna find the truth. She gonna crack the case here. It's not a lie when it's paperwork. She will expose the truth. Daily updates for you. Better subscribe like I knew you would. We gotta stand for what's right. We gotta do for the good, yeah. I don't know what y'all have heard. That surprise witness got the word. We don't believe in Scientology. I do not need your mind control on me. We don't need your conservative shifts, no. We doing right what's right for the kids. Whoa.
Y'all cannot control me. I control my own mind. You could've controlled me then. Still not in this lifetime. Can you send us down the pink angel from the heavens of truth? You don't want to debate with BJ. Studying law is what she do.